In this rock formation, all that was here was a large, beautiful, clear, hot water spring. And it had just a little edge about so high around it. There was another hot spring in that rock formation over there. If you look very carefully, you can see a tree literally growing out of the rock. Now that's Manuka, or New Zealand tea tree. And if you look carefully around its base, you'll see the little edge of what used to be another hot spring. And that would perhaps give you a bit of an idea of what this would have looked like, but on a much smaller scale. Now 100 years ago, prison life in New Zealand was pretty primitive. Those prisoners were over half a day's bumpy ride from Rotorua. They didn't have access to any of the luxuries of life, and they certainly didn't have access to constant hot water. And some of them thought that it would be a good idea to bring the camp's dirty washing down to this large hot spring that they'd found here. That would save them the bother of gathering wood, boiling water and all that drama. So one morning, a few of them were down here with the camp's dirty clothes. They're actually dipping them into the hot water, pulling them out, scrubbing them up with soap, then dipping them back into the hot water to rinse them off when they actually got one heck of a fright. What actually happened was that hot spring erupted. Their washing disappeared that way, and they disappeared that way. Now this morning we have got here just a few pieces of what is now totally biodegradable soap. And we now know that what actually happens is when the soap goes into the bed, it stretches the colder water, which is at the very top of the natural reservoir below the geyser itself. And that then allows the superheated steam and water from further down to force its way up through those cooler levels and out through the top in an eruption. And if that's happening below, what we'll see in just a few moments are some bubbles. They'll start to form at the top of the vent here, and as that hot water pushes all the soap out, we'll see the water start to surge as she builds up into that full eruption. The whole process only takes just a few minutes.
So it was the soap?
Something that looked like that to this shape. What actually happened was those same prisoners piled rocks around the ledge. What they tried to do was to create a chimney, because in those days they didn't have TVs or computers, games or any of that sort of thing. They had to make their own fun. And these fellas did it by creating a chimney which forced the water into a stronger jet and set their clothes even higher. But then Mother Nature came along, and over the last 100 or so years ago, she's actually responsible for this white colouring and this cone shape that you see here now. And it's all due to a mineral called silica. Now that's in the geyser water, so each time there's new water, an eruption rather, the water shoots up into the air, falls over this area, where it's the wind and the sun that evaporates the water to leave behind that mineral, which builds up into a type of rock. The geyser is about 150 years old. The reservoir below her holds about 30,000 litres of water. She can play for up to an hour and reach heights of between 10 and 20 metres. But how high she goes each day is totally dependent on the amount of water in the reservoir below her. So take your photos as she builds up into this first full eruption, because there's no guarantees she's going to reach those sort of heights again. The temperature of the water coming out of the geyser is somewhere around about 80 degrees centigrade. The temperature of the steam is so hot it will actually burn you very, very rapidly. But by the time the water gets up into the air and the steam drifts towards you, it'll cool down quite dramatically. The word geyser comes to us from Iceland, and in English it means to gush forth. Down here we do not call these geysers. Okay? A geyser to us is a two-legged elderly gentleman. This is a geyser. Enjoy your day.
We should have a lot of water in there.
Go on, get a picture, George. Go get a picture.
It's a brilliant one. Yeah, that is a brilliant one.
George, give us your camera.
That is a fabulous. Hey, that rain's not done you bad, is it? There you are, you'll have to send me an email of that one. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, you can't get used to it.
Get us in quick.
Yeah. That
will not be in his top.
only if it was wet and dry. You were lucky. And always go that way. You were the right side. I never got a decent picture in Iceland because they go up and then poof, they calm down again. Just stretching the meniscus. It's the meniscus then that just keeps it all. Not really by the meniscus, is it? Yeah, it's the skin on top of the water which holds it. Ah. No.
Coming again.
Oh,